Come on, P, tell them. Who do you represent? What? Did you say 1997? Hey, he said he bowed it. He rowdy. We honoring Master P tonight, y'all. I am excited about tonight because we are going to be talking about how Master P turned $10,000 into $1 billion. And it started with, as many of you all know, a life insurance payment that his grandfather left for him when he passed away. As Black people, we tend to think of life insurance as a death plan, but we don't think of life insurance as a life plan, as a wealth plan. Let me say that one more time, and this is just a regurgitation of one of my good friends, Will. He says that people tend to think of life insurance as a death plan, as a burial plan, but they fail to think of life insurance as a wealth plan. There are too many GoFundMe pages for Black bodies who are now deceased because the person, when they lived, did not prepare for their death, nor did they prepare for the generations that came after them. This is no shade to people who have to use GoFundMe, but if you were in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and you've had to contribute to one of those, it is your responsibility to say with you, it stops today. With life insurance, it is a plan or plans that you can choose that can help solidify generational wealth in the event of your unfortunate life termination. Now, I do have my preferences. Two plans that are especially popular in the life insurance world is term life insurance and whole life insurance. I have term life insurance, and I posit that any wealth-minded person consider getting that. Why, Keys, right? People talk about life insurance, but very rarely do they dissect the differences between the two and why one makes sense over the other. For wealth-minded people who are considering life insurance, term life insurance is the best if you are also considering other investments in your life. Term life insurance lasts for a certain period of time. You can buy for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. But the issue that people experience is they buy their life insurance and they think that that's the only thing that they can leave to their child. And that's the only money they can set aside to put their body in a casket. But the purpose of life insurance on the term level is for you to get active investing in your 401k, for you to get active making sure that you're investing in the stock market, for you to get active buying a property and using equity to buy another investment property. The thing about term life insurance is that when it expires after 20 years, 15 years, you have enough assets in place where your cash is going to work for you. People buy whole life insurance when they expect to pay that insurance over their whole life, okay? So term life insurance really encourages those people who are wealth-minded to find those plans, those wealth assets that work for them. Now for me, okay, specifically, I invest in my 403b, which is a nonprofit retirement plan. I also invest in a traditional IRA. And for those listening on the live and taking notes, I highly recommend that when you choose the mutual funds within your retirement portfolios, that you choose mutual funds that follow blue chip companies. So those are large publicly traded companies, but that you also diversify and choose those mutual funds that also follow small cap companies. And when you call your retirement, whoever you have your retirement with, for me, it's Fidelity, you can ask specifically for those particular assets. Two funds I'm invested in right now, FBGRX and DB Max. One is a Fidelity product and one is a DBY Mellon product, okay? So I want you to write this down because oftentimes people will tell you about life insurance, they'll tell you about retirement, but they won't tell you ways in which you could invest, blue chip and small cap. The reason why I bring this up as it relates to life insurance is because you want to get active about your other investments now. And if within that 20-year or 30-year period, you unfortunately pass away, your life insurance can cover the expenses that your family cannot. And of course, you can have a burial. And at the end of that term, you have those investments that can sustain you. Okay? So let's keep going. Come on. Yeah, somebody wrote down Fidelity. You want to make sure that that you have a life insurance plan. If you're wealth-minded, term life insurance. If you're not wealth-minded, get wealth-minded. See how that works. So let's keep going, all right? So Master P took a $10,000 life insurance payout, and the first thing that he did was he invested in his business. Now, one of the things that is often not promulgated with Master P's, when people talk about Master P's small business is, yes, initially he went into the business as an artist, but then he decided to exploit the supply chain. And this is important for entrepreneurs on this live because sometimes we're thinking about the innovative product, but we're not thinking about all the different pieces that it took to make that product. So yes, Master P made music, but he also owned a music store. And he began thinking through what are all of the different elements that go into a CD being placed on a shelf. Yes, for those 80s babies, for those 90s babies, y'all still remember CDs. I know everybody's streaming right now, but y'all still remember CDs. So he said, instead of being the artist that just makes the music, what if I'm also the producer, and not the producer of music, but also the producer of products? The reason why I say this is I think there are not enough Black entrepreneurs, especially, that are tackling the supply chain. So that means instead of starting a t-shirt business where you're thinking about what is the most and creative slogan that you could put on a t-shirt. Remember when everybody had the I'm my wildest dreams, or, they had all the lists. Madam C.J. Walker. Who else I want to put on there? Harriet Tubman, right? Maybe you want to put Shirley Chisholm on there. You putting all of the giants, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, you wanted to put all the giants on there. Everybody wanted to sell a shirt. But very few people wanted to be the supplier of the shirt, which means that you're not thinking about the design, but since you know that everybody, their mama and their cousin want to start a t-shirt business, that you're going to be the person to provide the blank shirts. Every person who's selling t-shirts has to work with a t-shirt printer. T-shirt printers need machines. T-shirt printers need ink. And sometimes people don't consider the unsexy side of business, right? That yields revenue, but perhaps might not be, I own a t-shirt business, but I earn an ink business. I earn a wholesale business where I sell the t-shirt without a print. Or I own a business where perhaps I make delivery of t-shirts in my local community. So the whole purpose of what I'm trying to advance here is that Master P explored the supply chain and he said, here's the end product, but let's explore the process that it took to get there. For those hairstylists, you're incredibly talented at doing hair, but could you sell hair? Could you sell hair products? For those lash girls, I'm talking to you. You do lashes impeccably, but what if you actually produce lashes? What if you took the hair, put it on a string, and glued it to somebody's face? Then you could install the lashes, but you could also supply your products. For those people who use makeup, maybe you are the MUA, you are the makeup artist girl, right? Makeup artist girl. What if you found a way to make makeup in your kitchen and then supply the products that you use with your clients and then sell that to them? Sometimes supply chain economics is only explored when you're launching the business instead of actually owning the products that it takes for other entrepreneurs to operate the business. It is the unsexy side of business that we often do not explore. Two controversial billionaires that very few people talk about because of their politics are Charles Koch and the recently passed David Koch. Right? We want to talk about the people who created Amazon, the people who created Google, the people who created Facebook. But these two brothers, whether you agree with their politics or not, they made money selling plates, forks, cups, knives, right? These are things that you use every single day, but it's not the sexy business that people like on Instagram. So I want to say that to the entrepreneurs considering businesses, think of the most popular products on the marketplace today and think about all of the different items that it takes to launch. That's one of the things that Master P did. Now, the other thing, any small business owner that is looking to quit their 9-to-5 because they think 8 hours is too many hours to be dedicating towards your dream, you have to be willing when you start a business to be the CEO, the COO, the administrative assistant, the social media manager, the accountant, the attorney. When you first start a business, the cost of success is sacrifice. Let me say that one more time, because there's some entrepreneurs that think it's so cool to see start a business, get free from a job that feels like a jail sentence, and you neglect to realize all of the different sacrifices that you have to make to birth that business. The cost of success is sacrifice. The cost of success is also commitment. And the reason why I bring that up is that people will look at Master P's journey and they'll see the outcome, right? But they'll neglect to see the journey. When Master P talked about being a janitor in his store, being a cashier in his store, right? When he talked about being the administrative assistant in his store, being the accountant for his store, before he was the CEO that we knew today. There are too many 9-to-5 employees who believe that the comfort and security that a job affords them is going to mirror the same life that they will live as an entrepreneur. Talk to an entrepreneur today and ask them the last time they had to turn fear into faith. It is a daily journey. Every single day you bet on yourself. Every single day you ask yourself if you're crazy. Why? Because every single entrepreneur is crazy. You have to be crazy because entrepreneurs walk in faith, and faith is materializing the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. So that means that you are having vision conversations with the majority of people in your circle that only see with eyesight. Vision is what you expect. Eyesight is what has been materialized. But faith is the evidence of things not yet seen. So if you can't wake up every single day and speak confidently about a thing that has not yet been made by your hands, you are not ready for entrepreneurship. Because when you get a job, every single thing that you show up and use are already at the other side of your fingertips. Your laptop is there. Your cell phone is there. Your smartphone is there, right? The infrastructure is already built for you. The outlook is already there for you to send emails. And the vision has already been set by the CEO. The reason why I say that is that when Percy Miller started his journey as Master P, the goal was always to be the CEO, but he understood that that might start with mopping a floor. It's a part of business that people don't want to explore because the successes make the timeline, right? The failures are often suffered in silence. And so entrepreneurs have to embrace the philosophy that every single loss becomes a lesson and every single walk is a faith walk. So let's keep going. All right. Shoot, I see somebody say I got the girls out today. You see me over here struggling. Don't call me out, power moves. Listen. All right, so let's keep going. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the importance of protecting your intellectual property. All right? And this is important, right? So the thing about Black genius is from the inception of this country, Black genius has been monetized, right, by cultures outside of the Black community. That's how you have Black inventions and white wealth. Black genius, right, is one of the most untapped resources in the American economy, either because we don't recognize its value or we don't protect its value. Every single entrepreneur who is creating something should always be thinking about how can I protect this idea from being stolen, duplicated, or monetized without my consent. Two things, all right? Two things. I never do business without contracts because if it's not real, right? If it's not in writing, it's not real. Every single entrepreneur before anybody works for you, and I'm not talking about employees. I'm talking about the person who put together your website. I'm talking about the person who's managing your social media. I'm talking about your virtual assistant that you're paying $10, $12 an hour should sign a non-disclosure agreement, should sign a non-compete agreement, and should fill out tax paperwork. Because when business relationships get started, it's always with the best of attitudes. How many interviews will you facilitate as a CEO where someone will pull up and tell you point blank in an interview, I will steal your idea if you hire me tomorrow? The paperwork is put into place to protect the worst case scenario. And you always want to make sure that the paperwork, when it's submitted, has been drafted by your attorney and not theirs. Because when your attorney drafts a non-disclosure agreement, when your attorney drafts the non-compete agreement, they always draft it in your best interest. And the time in which you want people to sign paperwork is not when there's conflict, but before there's conflict. All right? Second, if you are writing anything, I'm talking about you writing a poem, if you writing bars, if you writing a book, if you writing an Instagram post that you think might go viral, right? You know how people like to do the little carousels, right? Soon as you start writing, right? Soon as an idea materializes through your hand on a piece of paper, it's automatically copyrighted. But here's what people don't tell you. If you register it, your idea, your writing, with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, then what ultimately happens is as soon as you register it, it makes it more difficult for other people to claim ignorance. Which means when you hire an attorney and they say, I wrote this on January 1st, I filed for a copyright by February 1st, if anybody steals your idea because you moved that fast, that person can't say that they saw your idea in the public domain by another creator. You want to make sure that anything that you have written gets copyrighted, and that cost is nominal. It's less than $100, right? And you also want to make sure that you trademark those logos, those images, that other people might duplicate and say that it's theirs. Now, I know y'all know Hot Girl Meg, right? 2 summers ago, everybody was saying Hot Girl Summer, right? Hot Girl Summer. I made a Hot Girl Summer list, right? Everybody had the Hot Girl Summer outfit, right? It was trending across the internet. And a big corporation thought what she was doing was also especially interesting and started to monetize that. Meg Thee Stallion had to trademark it. And what trademark means is that somebody might take something that you did, maybe your logo is red and white, they make your logo purple and white and call it theirs. Right? Black genius. Being duplicated and monetized by somebody else. Or perhaps you have something that you wrote in English, somebody translates it into Spanish and says it's their original work. So if you're producing and creating something, one of the things that you want to do is you want to make sure if you think that it's valuable, that you copyright it. That means if you've written something that is original, right? You want to make sure to file that paperwork online. And if you have a trademark like a logo, even if it's like a slogan, like what Hot Girl, Meg did, Meg Thee Stallion, you want to make sure that you trademark that. Because usually what people do is they wait until value has already been created in order to protect it through the U.S. Patent Trademark Office. Now, the other thing that people won't tell you, and I'm just going to keep it straight. I was working with a gentleman here in the D.C. area where I live. We had a handshake agreement. This man had flew Professor Keys out to the Essence Festival, put my old black behind on a panel, had me preaching the good gospel of entrepreneurship. I met his kids. I met his girlfriend. I got put up in the hotel. I was at the Essence Festival front row watching Mary J. Blige. Just, you know how Mary do. Mary be like this, she be, hey, right? We had a handshake deal to launch a national entrepreneurship program. We had paperwork in place. I made him sign an NDA. I made him sign a non-compete. And what I wrote, I copyrighted. But here's what people don't tell entrepreneurs, even when you do business well, is that even if somebody steals your idea, though you might have the paperwork in place, if you do not have the resources to hire an attorney to prosecute you, most people will take your youth, right? They look at you and think you're young, your absence of financial resources, steal your idea and tell you to take them to court because they believe that you cannot afford the defense. And this is what people do. $400,000 deal. The man looked me in my face and said, I know I stole your idea, but you don't have enough money to sue me. Now, this is what I recommend to every new entrepreneur that's watching this live and you're looking at your bank account and you say, I have $1 million. I have $1 million idea, but I don't have $1 million in my bank account. How then do you protect intellectual capital from predatory, non-imaginable, nice thieves like this man was to me? You have to capitalize off of getting connected with law clinics in your area that do this work for free. For me, it was a DC bar pro bono legal clinic that offered law support for me without me having to pay for it. And these are hours that a lot of young attorneys have to put in as they pursue partnerships within their firms. Sometimes the conversation ends with you need paperwork. Sometimes the conversation ends with you need a trademark and a copyright. But sometimes people don't tell you that you also need to have a legal muscle that you can operationalize in your defense. For me, I learned that lesson too late, right? But for me, again, every loss is a lesson. I turned a 6-figure mistake into a 7-figure deal. More news to come on that. So it's important for you to know that. And I teach this within the context of Percy Miller and Master P, because he hired an attorney to help him figure out his 2080 distribution deal, right? Where somebody looked at what he had built, offered him $1 million, right? Offered him $1 million to buy it. He went and he talked to an attorney and realized that his $1 million deal was actually worth $50 million, right? So somebody wants to get access to your idea for a cheaper price. And if you don't protect it, they'll either steal it or they'll pay you pennies on the dollar, right? So that attorney was able to help him understand, 1, the value that he held in his hands, right? 2, how to protect it. And 3, how to own it 100% free and clear, right? So that's what we want to take from that particular lesson, all right? So let's keep going, all right? So one of the hard lessons that I learned that Master P talks about is being able to turn your skills into cash flow. You want to be very specific about those skills that you bring to your business and those skills that you will hire to scale your business. Let me say that one more time. What are the skills that you are bringing to your business? For me, it was fundraising, relationship management, event planning, and financial planning, right? So financial, being able to handle our financial resources until I was able to hire an accountant. But the things that I was unable to do involved building a tech platform. I had never coded anything at all. Most entrepreneurs will burn themselves out because they believe that they should do everything in their business all the time, 25/8. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of you first. If your business goes on vacation when you go on vacation, and I'm not talking about a business trip that you can write off on your taxes. I'm talking about when you stop working, you're not making money, then you're a hustler, you're not an entrepreneur. If you take a sick day and your business takes a sick day, you take a vacation day, your business takes a vacation day, right? You decide to quit, your business decides to quit. You're not an entrepreneur, you're a hustler, because an entrepreneur builds processes and systems so that the people who support them in their work can operationalize the business in their absence. And so even if your business starts with just you should be honest with yourself about the skills that you know you will ultimately delegate and the skills that you know that you will keep and develop on your own to lift and boost your business. Now, here's where things sometimes go wrong. The cheapest labor is the labor you often find among your friends and your family. Now, we love our friends and family, right? And those are usually the first people that we go to for help because they're eager, but that doesn't mean they're talented. No shade to your auntie, right? I know she used to braid your hair and hot comb your kitchen when you were 9 years old. It's no shade to your cousin Roscoe because he used to drive you to school because every single time you got on the school bus, they always made you sit in the front. You know the cool kids sit in the back. This is no shade to your mama. She had you. She birthed you. But your mom types 10 words per minute and you need an experienced admin who can type faster and manage your calendar. Do not confuse a committed, loving family member with a skilled individual who can advance your business. And the reason why I say that is because the first businesses that I started, the businesses that Master P started first by working with family. And that's not a bad thing if you can position your family in places where they can succeed. But sometimes we will position family out of a place of love versus positioning family in a place where they can be successful, not just for you, but for your bottom line. And a lot of this goes back to faith. Because an entrepreneur is afraid that materializing the substance of things hoped for and evidencing the things not yet seen can't be accomplished unless they have someone who loves them versus someone who is loyal to them and skilled. And sometimes that can be the same person and sometimes that can be different. One of the biggest mistakes that I made was hiring a friend who was nice but not effective. Come on now. You got nice people in your life. They will have your back to the end, but that doesn't mean that they're effective. Every single person who works for you should match a job description that you wrote before you started recruiting. Absolutely. You knew you needed a tech person. Why did you hire an event planner? Because they was 2 times removed for you on your mama's side? You knew you needed an event planner, but you hired an accountant. This girl, she can balance your books. She has no idea how to negotiate a venue. The problem that most Black people experience is that we want to cultivate familial relationships within our business, and that is okay, right? But we don't place people in positions where they can succeed. And maybe your business in its infancy doesn't have space for your cousin who's an accountant because you're starting an event planning business. But as it scales, you can bring your family in places and spaces within your enterprise where it makes sense. And this starts with being honest with yourself. Hello. So let's keep going. Send me a heart if this is doing anything for you. Send me a heart if this is actually useful for you. And guess what? Family should sign NDAs, non-competes. They need to fill out their W-9s. And they also need to make sure that they're submitting invoices. We don't do handshake deals with family either, right? We love them, but guess what? If it's not in writing, it's not real. So let's talk about the last thing from Master P because it's important. Entrepreneurs are big thinkers, right? You think of an idea, right? You have an idea to start a restaurant, right? You want to own a restaurant. Actually, you want to own a franchise, right? You want to make sure that you have a restaurant that can be franchised all across the country. You see the vision, right? But you know that you have to use what you have, start where you are, and do what you can. And that involves small steps, right? You got to start small, right? So it might not be a restaurant. You might have to start cooking in your kitchen and distributing on the curb, right? You cook in your kitchen, you distribute on the curb. That turns into a food truck. A food truck turns into one location, and one location turns into 10. You're starting small. Never despise small beginnings. But here's the thing. When you begin to expand, you want to make sure as an entrepreneur that you expand within your business's realm. What do I mean? If a restaurant was your dream, right? You open the restaurant. You're selling food. This takes us back, right, to supply chain management. What's your next business idea? Maybe it's you producing condiments, right? What's your next business idea, right? Maybe it's you actually growing the food in a farm and being a supplier to your own business. Most entrepreneurs start one business in one industry and then they want to go and master a different industry and start all over again. The biggest and most successful entrepreneurs, right, look at one business and start small, and then as they begin to grow, they maximize their verticals. For me, it started off with education. We started off with live classes with Black Upstarts, teaching people in the classroom. That expanded to us actually selling a curriculum to community development financial institutions. That was our second product. Our third product was t-shirts and bags. Our fourth product was an online school. We sold digital classes. And the fifth product that was just released last year was the Black Entrepreneurs Workbook, which took a curriculum that we sold to institutions, transformed that curriculum into a workbook, and sold it direct to consumer. That's 5 business ideas, right, underneath one umbrella, and it expands to take one stream of income into 5. That's how it works, okay? Now, the last thing that I'll talk about, I know I said it was the last thing. The last thing that I'm really going to talk about is the issue that Black people have maximizing, creating businesses that capitalize off of the Black dollar. Black people spend $1.3 trillion a year. And people call that Black buying power. right? Let me say that one more time. Black people spend $1.3 trillion annually, and we misidentify that as being powerful. It is not powerful if we spend that $1.3 trillion making every other community rich but our own. People ask me what type of business I would want to start if they gave me $1 million, right? I tell them I'd start a Chinese food delivery service, right? Some of y'all watching this live right now, you eating wonton, you tearing up some chicken fried rice, right? Soy sauce all on your lips. People ask me, why would you want to start that type of business, Kezia? Can you fry a wonton? Have you ever put rice in a pan and put carrots and peas in it? I tell them absolutely not. That's not my bailiwick in the kitchen. Last time I was in my old kitchen, I almost burned it down trying to fry chicken. Lord knows I should have been baking it. It's not my bailiwick. But here's the thing. When you go to a beauty supply store in a black neighborhood and you put your hands on a do-rag, you put your hands on Remy Track, you put your hands on some hair grease, and the person on the other end of the counter selling you those products don't look like you, you don't question it. And I promise you, they're not wrong being in their community. They see entrepreneurial opportunities that you don't see. Prince George's County, one of the richest counties in all of the United States of America, but people conflate income with wealth. We own, right, the capital that we are earning at our jobs with separate but unequal paychecks. But when you go to the businesses in the surrounding communities, who are the people who have CEO on the business card, have CEO on the commercial lease, and have CEO behind the name on the title of the building? Probably does not look like you. Black people spend $1.3 trillion annually, and we spend it making other communities rich. The average black-owned business doesn't even make 6 figures a year. If we spend $1.3 trillion, that should never be a reality. One of the biggest things that we miss as black people is the opportunity to sell products and services that black people already buy, because we don't think that it's sexy. Top 10 products that black people buy: laundry detergent, contraceptives, right? Some of y'all got boo coming over at 11 o'clock, handyman coming through at 1 o'clock in the morning. Ain't nothing broke in your house. Contraceptives, diapers. Come on now. Ethnic hair care and beauty aids. That's the hair grease that I was talking about earlier. You don't want to sell these things because you don't want to tell people that you make laundry detergent. Meanwhile, True Laundry Detergent, which is a black-owned company, is probably a multi-million-dollar business because they know that people wash clothes every single week. The black $1.3 trillion that we spend every single year should not be a blank check for other communities to sign. When you're thinking about starting a business, you need to think about what black people are already buying, and you need to position your business in front of their dollars. We get mad because we go in a store and somebody wants to not speak to you. You've been in the store 30 minutes. They're watching you, but they're not speaking. Some of them. Right? Or you go into some stores and they are nice to you. They're not speaking to you. They're speaking to your pockets because they know that if you keep coming back, that means that they can take your dollars into another community and buy a house 4 times worth where you live. Building equity in their spaces from the capital that you provide in businesses that you could own. And they're not wrong, because every single day you earn income and come back to a community where you don't own the enterprises within that radius. And tell yourself that you're powerful because you can buy stuff. You're powerful when you own stuff. And they're not wrong because they see your money as more valuable than you. Every single black entrepreneur, if you're thinking about starting a business, should first start with the businesses and the business ideas and the products and services that black people already buy. And the reason why I bring this up is because Master P, you look at the things that he opened. Listen, this man selling noodles, wrap noodles, right? There was a picture trending across the internet, cup of noodles, big fat shrimp hanging out, hot sauce all over it. He's not wrong. Some of y'all out here buying $50 packs of noodles because you know you want a budget. 50 cents, you can get 100 of them for what, $50? I don't know. He said if black people are going to buy noodles, I'm going to sell noodles. Rap snacks, right? That's one of the investments that he made. Some of y'all chewing on sour cream and onion chips right now. You can, potatoes. In the grocery store, you can go make chips in your kitchen right now. Try to figure out if you want to make a hot sauce and a Tabasco chip tomorrow. But sometimes black people think that spending is power. No, it's own or be owned. So that's the last thing, right? So rap music, $75 million Master P made. Rap snacks in 4,200 Walmarts. Rap noodles, distribution in Walmart. BBT 011 TV network. No black people love to have their nose in the television. We love to be entertained. We love to be entertainers. If we're going to be entertainers, we might as well own the industry. Partnered with the Housing and Urban Development to rebuild the hood, 1,500 units built after Katrina. This is a black man that understands the power of black money. And you should too. Thank you so much for joining Black Wealth Wednesday, y'all. I hope that you got value out of this. This video, as always, is going to be available on my YouTube. And until next Wednesday, when we're going to be talking about how you can start a nonprofit organization and obtain public student loan forgiveness. How do I know? Because you're talking to a woman who is debt-free. Because I started a nonprofit 2 years after I graduated from college, and every single year qualified myself for 10 consecutive years to walk away debt-free before I purchased my first duplex. Until next Wednesday, y'all, I love you, and I'll see you then.